So hello and welcome to my first tier list video. So this tier list is for Pokemon Unite, and this tier list is before the September 2nd, 2022 um, patch. So this tier list is after Worlds and before Mew comes out and after Tyranitar came out. So if you're watching this video in the future, just to let you know that this tier list will be outdated by that time. And also important to mention that this tier list is exclusive for solo queuing. So some Pokemon that I believe are overall better might be ranked lower than other Pokemon that I don't think are as good, mainly because of the solo queue experience. It's also important to note that I will also be taking into account the amount of skill needed to use a certain Pokemon. So if I think a Pokemon is great, but it needs it has a certain skill gap, then it might be lower than a Pokemon that I don't think is as good, but is relatively, or not relatively necessarily, but way easier to use. And so that in that sense, this tier list is meant to be a tier list for anyone to pick up a Pokemon and start doing well with it in solo queue. So without further ado, I'll start, and in this video I'll be covering the first three tiers of this tier list. The Y tier list, in which I'll put down the Pokemon that I think is the worst Pokemon in the entire game. The extremely hard to win tier, and the hard but not impossible to win tier. So we'll start off with who I think is the worst Pokemon in the entire game, and I believe that is Crustle. Crustle, in my opinion, is probably the worst Pokemon in the entire game, period. Not only for solo queue, but also for the competitive scene. All of these other Pokemon have seen a certain amount of usage in competitive play, not Crustle. Crustle is the only Pokemon out of all the Pokemon in Pokemon Unite that has never seen the light of day when it comes down to competitive Pokemon Unite. And in solo queue, it doesn't really offer anything. It has mobility and some damage and stun, but overall, it doesn't serve any purpose. It's not exactly a defender, it's not exactly a support, and it's not exactly a carry. So this Pokemon ends up being bad at all the things it tries to be. Of course, a good Crustle can definitely change, or can definitely put in some work, but it takes a lot of skill to use this Pokemon properly, and it takes a good player to use this Pokemon. More often than not, I'll find that in my solo queue games, Crustles just move around the map without really doing anything. They try to get a few scores here and there, but they'll often get killed, and they will become pretty much free farm for the opposing team. I think Crustle is definitely usable, but overall, this is probably the worst Pokemon in the entire game. Up next, for extremely hard to win, we're going to start with what I think is a Pokemon that's really hard to win with, and that is Eldegoss. Eldegoss used to be the king of the support Pokemon, but unfortunately, because of the nerfs and because of certain buffs of other Pokemon, this Pokemon has fallen off from the competitive scene quite heavily. This Pokemon is not that bad actually. I think it still provides nice utility. Leaf Tornado is a great tool for running away and for chasing down other Pokemon. Also, Leaf Tornado can be a surprising nice secure for certain objectives. It has great objective stealing potential. Its Unite move is kind of okay. It can also steal objectives, but primarily it's there to heal and do kind of damage to the opposing team. This Pokemon is okay, but we're talking about solo queue, so winning with this Pokemon is really hard. You really need your teammates to be doing well. Otherwise, you're supporting people that are not doing anything. And this Pokemon specifically cannot carry a game on its own. It's very far away from carrying any game. It can steal Zapdos. That's definitely a thing that can't happen. And you might think that's carrying, but no. But yeah, this Pokemon is extremely hard to win with in solo queue because of that. If you're duo queuing or trio queuing, then this Pokemon becomes a solid option. I still think there are better options. Cuff, cuff, Blissey, but it's still not a bad option for duo queuing, trio queuing, or 5 stacks. Then another Pokemon I want to talk about is Wigglytuff. I personally love Wigglytuff. I think it's such a fun Pokemon to use. Sync Rollout is super flashy. You can make some nice flashy plays with Rollout, stunning the opposing teammate, the opposing Pokemon into infinity, and it provides really nice utility. It provides it's quite disruptive, but the problem is that its tools are meant to be taken advantage of by your teammates. And if your teammates don't know what they're doing, don't know how to engage in team fights, don't follow your lead, um, don't take advantage of your tankiness and your cleansing potential with your Unite, then this Pokemon becomes useless. This Pokemon cannot shred objectives. This Pokemon cannot get kills. This Pokemon cannot secure objectives. So you really need someone there to know what they're doing, a carry specifically, in order to take advantage of Wigglytuff's potential. So that's the reason why it's so down the list. Otherwise, it would be higher up. If you're duo queuing or trio queuing, this Pokemon becomes way better. Which leads me to my next Pokemon, Snorlax. Now, if I love Wigglytuff, then I adore Snorlax. I think Snorlax is such a fun Pokemon to play with. Also, Block can be used in so many different creative ways to create certain situations and plays that can turn the tide during a team fight. Or that a Block specifically can help you to score, can push people away from scoring, can isolate a carry or a Pokemon so that your teammates can kill it. And it provides a lot of utility. Heavy Slam also does the same. It's a great tool for engaging in team fights and for being disruptive. Snorlax's Unite is not that great. It's actually, I mean, it's nice in the sense that it recovers a lot of health. So if Snorlax was down on health, then it's kind of your second wind before you die again if needed. But it provides primarily health for you to keep fighting, keep being useful. But again, similar to Wigglytuff, you need someone to take advantage of your moveset. Otherwise, you're blocking people away, but you're really not doing anything, or you're pushing people away, but no one's shredding the objective, no one's scoring, no one's doing anything. So this Pokemon's really hard to play alone. If you're duo queuing, trio queuing, then this Pokemon becomes way better, ridiculously way better. And the same goes for Mr. Mime. Yeah, so similar problem here. Mr. Mime has an amazing kit. I think Mr. Mime was underlooked a little bit before Worlds. Renaissance, was it Renaissance or was it now? No, it was Noun Sports, right? Yeah, I believe Noun Sports. Bruv, yeah. Performed amazingly with Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime's barrier and confusion deals massive damage, but the problem is that if there's no one there to kill the Pokemon that just received your combo, then Mr. Mime can't really get the kill. Mr. Mime has great potential for be securing, pushing away and zoning people away while your teammates are doing an objective or scoring. This Pokemon has amazing utility moves, but again, you need someone to take advantage of those moves. Oh, also its Unite is quite disruptive. I actually like its Unite a lot. Can be pretty annoying to deal with. But if no one's there to take advantage of that, then you really can't do much on your own. So it's extremely hard to win with this Pokemon, not because it's bad, but because you need someone to know. You need a carry that's next to you, and that it knows what they are doing. So yeah, that's the reason why Mr. Mime is so down the list. but otherwise it would be higher up. Then we're going to continue with the hard but not impossible to win tier. And first we're going to start with Swine. So Swine shares the same problems that Mr. Mime, Snorlax, and Wigglytuff have, in the sense that you have this amazing crowd control kit, but you need someone to take advantage of that. However, the difference is that Swine can actually get a few kills here and there, especially during the laning phase. Swine, ironically, is probably when Swine is at its strongest before everyone evolves. Ice Shard is such an amazing tool for CCing early during the lane phase, for securing farm and for keeping people away. Also, you can get some nice kills if the opposing team is unprepared for the CC Swine can provide. So that's the reason why it's higher up the list. High horsepower is good. Personally, I think Snorlax and Mr. Mime might be overall better than Swine, but Swine is much easier to use in solo queue. Its Unite move is pretty bad in my opinion, probably one of the worst Unite moves in the entire game. You're not really doing anything. You're doing a small amount of damage. Usually I find myself using its Unite move only for the buddy barrier. And just for being like slightly disruptive, because you're supposed to CC a little, but not really. But still, it's not impossible to win with this Pokemon. If you are duo or trio queuing, again, you can take advantage of this Pokemon even more. But for solo queuing, this Pokemon is hard to use, not necessarily impossible. Up next, I want to talk about Buswell, which is one of the newest additions to Pokemon Unite. I was very excited for Buswell's introduction. Unfortunately, it felt like it was underwhelming once it came out. Buswell is definitely an all-rounder, but I don't think Buswell excels at anything. Buswell has nice CC, has nice damage, but on its own, it cannot really carry a game. I don't really like its Unite move. I think it's meh. It's okay at best. It doesn't even recharge that fast. Leech Life is terrible. Superpower is amazing. It's actually quite fun to use. It deals nice damage, but again, I don't feel like I'm doing much when I'm Buswell. I don't feel like I'm really carrying there. I feel like I'm being more of a tank support type of Pokemon, similar to Swine, in a sense, just dealing slight more damage without a freeze. And so I constantly feel when I'm using Buswell that I need someone to be there to help me get the kills. And sure, granted, if you get a kill with Buswell, or if you assist in a kill with Buswell, all of a sudden then you can start doing damage. But it's really hard to get into that situation. So that's the reason why I'm putting Buswell so down here. By the way, this list is not necessarily ordered, but I'm guessing I'm kind of ordering it right now. Up next, I'm going to put Talonflame here. Talonflame used to be really strong. I really used to like Talonflame a lot. It was so much fun. It still is kind of fun, but Talonflame used to be a high-risk, high-reward Pokemon. You would get in, do massive amounts of damage, and then die probably, but you had already taken out 1 or 2 Pokemon from the opposing team, or at least you would deal massive amounts of damage to the entire squad. Nowadays, Talonflame doesn't do that much damage, so it's a high-risk Pokemon without a high reward. Now, granted, there's this really weird combo that I believe I saw Secret Chip use during the regionals, which was using it with Trick Hoopa, so that you could engage and come back, then engage again. But that's primarily with coordinated 5-stack teams. For solo queue, you cannot do that. There are better options. This is not really a thing in the sense that it's a hard Pokemon to use, or that you need your teammates to do something. This Pokemon is here because I don't think it's as strong as other options, or as it used to. So that's the reason why Talonflame is down here. Then a Pokemon that I believe is really strong, could be game changing, but in solo queue this Pokemon is really hard to use, which is gonna be Hoopa. Hoopa's utility kit is probably one of the best in the game. You have portals, you have Astonish, which during the lane phase can be disruptive and can help you secure farm, not by attacking the farm, but rather by stunning the opposing Pokemon so that they don't get the farm. But unfortunately, for some reason, people don't know how to take advantage of the portals. So you will often find yourself throwing portals so that they can rotate out to Dread, and people don't come to Dread, or you are throwing portals for them to heal, and people don't go to your portal to heal, or they don't know how to use them properly. And it's especially annoying when you throw your Unite. You're basically asking, hey, let's fight here, let's all get here, let's get this, and then one or two people show up and the rest is still farming or scoring or doing whatever. So for solo queue, this Pokemon is extremely hard to use despite having an amazing kit. For duo and trio queuing, this Pokemon is amazing. For 5 stacks, it's even better. This Pokemon can allow you to make certain plays that you cannot make without Hoopa. But for solo queue, this Pokemon is really hard to use. You really need people to know how to take advantage of your portals. And that's the reason why it's here. However, with its Unite, sometimes you can dictate the flow of the battle. So that's why it's higher than Snorlax and Mr. Mime, for example. And also, Hoopa Unbound is just extremely strong. Nice. It has a lot of CC. It has a lot of damage. Hyper Beam. No, it was Psybeam. Sorry, Psybeam. Hyperspace Hole Fury. Those are really strong, damaging moves, and also provide a nice amount of CC. So that's the reason why Hoopa's here. Then a Pokemon that I used to like a lot. I don't think it's that great now. Which is Alolan Ninetales. Alolan Ninetales can be quite annoying. I think there are Pokemon that do its job better. Because so Ninetales are not really the start of the show. You're mainly there because you can freeze Pokemon. You can do a lot of damage thanks to the emblem system. Some games I found myself doing over 100k damage with Alolan Ninetales, primarily using the Avalanche plus Blizzard combo. If you're using Aurora Veil and, well, the Aurora Veil moveset, then you're mainly focusing on freezing the opposing team while healing yourself and providing support for your teammates. And this is a problem once again because if your teammates are not taking advantage of your CC, then unlike Swine, you are doing damage. You can win games, but you're not doing as much damage as other Pokemon might be doing that will be higher up on this list. So that's the reason why it's here. I wish it could be higher, but I don't feel it's as strong right now. There are better options. That's the important part to note here, that there are better options. And finally, to round up this list, well, this tier at least, we're going to go with Sera Aura. Sera Aura is a Pokemon that can do massive amounts of damage with Discharge. Wild Charge is okay, can be annoying, but I don't think it's as good as Discharge. Wild Charge, I don't think can be taken advantage of as much as Discharge, especially with Bull Switch. If you are capable of using your Bolt Switch plus Discharge combo, then you're going to be doing a lot of damage and you're going to be repositioning your opponents in places that they don't want to be in. The only problem with Sera Aura is that it suffers from being a speedster. So it's going to do a burst of damage and then you're going to have to kite because this Pokemon is useless without its moves. So you become extremely vulnerable after you use Discharge and while your Discharge and Bolt Switch are on cooldown. Also, this Pokemon kind of needs its Unite to start doing real damage. So if this Pokemon doesn't get to level 9 quickly, then it's not really providing a lot, even if it has discharge, which is another problem because it gets discharge at level 8. So you might think it's a good jungler, but its ganks are not that impressive. Because you get discharge up until level 8. Even when you get Bull Switch, it's better than agility, obviously, but it's definitely not game-changing. So you force yourself to get level 8, and once you get level 8, there are some Pokemon that are going to get to level 9 before you. But yeah, I think it's the best out of these Pokemon that are here because it can do a lot of damage. It can provide a lot of, well, it can get a nice amount of kills. And that's the reason why this Pokemon is the highest up on this tier. So that's gonna round up the first 3 tiers, and in my next video I'll be covering the next 2 tiers, and finally I'll be covering the last 3 tiers. I'll be covering only 2 tiers next because those are the tiers with the most amount of Pokemon. So that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll